Well, obviously, my name is Malcolm Boyd. And if you don't know the name, fine, honey. What am I best known for? I wrote a true bestseller with 1 million copies in print and translated into most languages. And it was called Are You Running With Me, Jesus? And it came out in 1965. So it's my connection with millions of people.
And became an Episcopal priest and got very involved in civil rights, more than he's letting on here. And I'm very impressed with my partner of 30 years.
Well, I came out to Hollywood. I was in my mid-20s, and the partnership with Mary Pickford, of course, was huge. And she'd been the most famous woman in the world for a decade, and that brought me into another kind of orbit of life with its own perspectives. I never saw myself that way, and I wasn't into a lot of narcissism, and I sort of said, I don't want to be like these people in 5 years. In other words, I was looking for meaning.
Oh, and he was as handsome as sin back then. I want to tell you, we've been looking at the pictures. It's like between, I'm not exaggerating, like between Montgomery Clift and Marlon Brando.
Well, the San Francisco Chronicle once called me Marlon Brando in a collar, the clerical collar. Of course, I never thought that it would be possible then to be in love, to be married to a man, to be accepted as a couple, that your whole life would revolve around that. That didn't seem remotely possible at a point. And that was a hard time because if nothing is remotely possible that's good, you tend to make mistakes, you tend to strike out, you tend to be hurt professionally, you tend to be angry, and that's leading nowhere. It was hell. And it was also a priest. And what, didn't the Bible say that was sinful? So in other words, I didn't have any friends at that point. Employment was out of the question. I mean, it was really hell. So I had the coming out that today is kind of this glorious thing that everybody can make a movie about. At that time, it was purgatory. And people don't know that, or they forget it, or they don't want to hear it. Well, honey, you're going to hear it from me. Are You Running With Me? Jesus had placed me in such an enviable, such a prestigious, such a safe place, if you like. And that was stripped away, you see. There was the prayer, I'm with you, Jesus, in a homosexual bar. And Time magazine ran it, but without comment. In other words, they thought that kind of said enough, and they didn't need to say anymore. So it was a charged environment. It was interesting because I was going to, well, a lot of people have written about, was Jesus homosexual, which is kind of stupid.
Oh, no.
However, what Jesus was clearly queer. And actually, homosexual probably wasn't a word that would be tossed around very much when Jesus was around. But he's one of the queerest people in the history of the world. So queer then is, well, it's creative, it's different, it's very challenging. I was exploring the meanings of it. It helped a lot to be with Mark because he knew everything about it, where I didn't.
I also helped Malcolm to normalize the experience. But the one thing that has sustained me beyond all of this, I say, the love of a good man.
So this gets very complex. The point is looking at anybody and making judgments. And I've noticed, I really feel that we aren't doing that too well. And the rage of it is one of the most serious questions in the world right now. So this could be a moment when we could grow up if we wanted to, don't you think?
And what I feel about the young gay kids that are coming out today, that they bear with them the hope and the future of the world. And that many of them, I feel intuitively know this.
But we need to help a number of them if they're being bludgeoned and tortured and kept in place by prejudice and by the misuse of everything, including organized religion. It's a moment really to grow up. And that would be my message